Sorry about that.
Oh man, you made me think.
It's my bad.
I had to scramble thinking, wait, because hey, it happened to me. I can tell you more than once that I put something wrong on account. In fact, I had 2 clients back to back. I sent them emails. They're really busy, and that's when all the meeting was fixed. So I'm thinking like,
Yeah. Sometimes it's just good to have a second pair of eyes. Dierl, my other half, is here, and he's like, "Hey, I think it's
you see how I can feel better.
It is me."
But anyhow, thanks for sending that to me. I mean, it was very, very helpful to go through this. And really the question is, in your situation, this is the conundrum you're in. Because essentially, you have a home that is gone, but there's a mortgage that keeps on running through. Now, the good thing is you have the insurance, but the insurance is only going to cover the cost of the construction whenever that ever happens. And theoretically, you can use that money to pay down the mortgage. Right?
To my understanding, yes.
Right. But the conundrum you are, if you do that, so now you own probably, I don't know, maybe free and clear of land, but then you need to get a new loan probably for construction.
Yes.
And then there's, so the thing is, the real loss in the meantime of use is going to be all tied up. I'm assuming you're involved in some form of litigation with someone out there that's spending, that's going to take years for you to actually recover any of that money.
Right. Right. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to, if I don't have to, right?
Well, here's the thing, because the insurance company, the only one who can compensate you for the loss of use is whoever, if there is that person, if they find out who's responsible for those fires. Okay? Not the insurance company. The insurance company, there's a contract and they're supposed to replacement cost, and that's what they do, unless you had a policy for loss of earnings like businesses have and stuff like that. But assuming you don't, this is all you can do. Now, the mortgage company, they are doing, in fact, whatever it is. So they had certain moratoriums, whatever it is, FEMA place, so they can't proceed. But at some point, they need to get paid, and the way to do it is to foreclose. There's no other way. In other words, the only way to stop it is to pay them.
Right.
That's the reality of it. So the question now becomes, how are you going to pay now? Just remind me, what's the event that's coming up? Because there is no foreclosure action that was filed, but I do think at some point you mentioned there's something on the 15th maybe? There's some date that's coming up?
Yeah, so what happened is they sent me, I guess, so it goes to the next step if by the 15th I don't fulfill the...
Okay, so you don't cure the default, okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So the question now becomes, is like, look, I'm an attorney, not a magician, okay? And the last thing you want to do is spend a lot of money for an attorney to do legal work that's futile and just cost even more. I mean, what's the point? Because you owe it, and I don't think you dispute it. Like, you were making mortgage payments before this thing happened, and life was fine. There was no big deal. All of a sudden, you're in this conundrum where you need to come up with the money. Where I can be helpful is possibly if you're stuck in a situation when you need more time. Right now, you're not there because the foreclosure itself, the judicial foreclosure, takes a while. First, they, at this point, they probably already sent you the notice, the 130-day notice, whatever it is. That means that presumably they're going to send it to the local council, draft a complaint, and then serve you with a complaint. And then you're going to have 20 days to file an answer. And usually after you file an answer, another 3-4 months, usually file a motion for summary judgment. The next step after that, there's no reason for the court not to grant the motion. Commissioner is appointed, and usually, if you sit on your hands and do nothing, it will take usually another 3 to 4 months for the property to be gone, to be sold. So that's kind of the rough timeline. You're looking at it, if you're literally sitting on your hands, other than maybe filing an answer to the complaint, you're looking at least a minimum of 8-9 months right now. And if I get involved, I can extend it by quite a bit, but you really want to think long and hard if you want to do it, because here's the thing. When I get involved, it forces their attorney to do more work. And who's paying for it? Got it. So yeah. So that's you always want to keep that in mind. So really, so the question becomes is, you need to come and think like, because at this point, how far behind are you on the payments with them?
It's been since the fire, so about 23 months now.
Oh, so the reinstatement balance, I just said, you did right, okay, it's
Yeah.
just under 100,000. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what is the realistic timeline right now for this construction, for you to break ground and actually start rebuilding? What are we looking at?
So I kind of expedited. I had the company just expedite for the permits. I signed the permit forms last week, and we're waiting to get those submitted. So blueprint wise and permits to be approved, I think in the next month, and then
Mhm.
I can start to get the construction bid. So within the next 3 months, I want to break ground.
Okay, so, and you think like after that, a year is really reasonable to complete the construction?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So we're looking at about a year and a half from now that you need, and now once you have the place, you can, because I'm assuming you had like, did you live there or did you have tenants?
Yeah. Well, we built Ohana too, so we lived there and we had tenants.
Okay, okay. So, a year and a half from now, this reinstatement is gonna be like cross the 150,000 mark.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my guess, here's actually the conundrum that even I myself, I bought a condo last year and I'm sitting on an interest rate of more than 7%, and it's a killer. That's the market today.
Yeah.
What is the interest rate you have on your current loans?
4.
There you go. So that 700,000 mortgage, if you pay it off and then later on you need to apply for new financing for the construction, now that 700 you're going to be paying it at 7%
Yeah.
instead of 3,
Yeah.
and that's very costly.
Yeah.
So you really want to try to hang on to the existing loan. You really want to try to hang on to it.
Yeah.
Okay?
I guess my issue isn't getting that paid in current. It's more so the application of the insurance funds where they're refusing to do that, even if I've instructed them already to do it. I have SBA funds that's also lined up for the construction build, and obviously I have to come up with the funds to do the rest, but I want them to apply the insurance proceeds to this so I can so I can get it current and then resume the payments. That's really what my ask is.
So I guess I'm missing the point here because, so I guess that whole thing was lost on me. Why would the mortgage company not agree? Well, I mean, let's put it this way. Actually, I take a step back. I can see from the mortgage company, actually, if I take a step back, I can see why. Because think about it. They have a mortgage right now. When they mortgage the place, they mortgage the land and the property itself.
Mm-hmm.
And with the structure being gone, this property in its current condition with no structure on it is worth less, right?
Yeah.
So ultimately, by doing it that way, they are compromising their own security interest, because arguably they have a security interest right now, probably in the proceeds for the insurance as well. They do. It's the reality of it.
Yep.
They do. I mean, in other words, if they foreclose and the property sells and there's not enough money to cover their mortgage, now they can tap into that insurance money, because remember, those are the funds for the structure that's gone.
Correct.
So, without going into it, because I've never run into this particular scenario, I don't know that legally you can force their hand to agree to it.
Okay.
You just don't.
Well,
So, and not only that, that's not a battle you want to go through, not for the amounts at stake. You're not millions,
Right,
you're
right,
talking about 100,000. So, I mean, did you try to get a HELOC?
no, just because the mortgage balance is just so high on it, there wouldn't be a HELOC. There wouldn't be an equity in it.
I mean, let's put it this way, before the fire, how much was this property worth?
Maybe 800
Really?
or so. Yeah. I mean, I bought it at 720.
I just feel like in Lahaina, anything that I'm looking at is just, I don't think I've seen anything less than $1 million. That's why I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I just assume.
Well, we bought it 2 years prior to the fire at 749.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even more so, you understand what they won't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. They just won't. Now, what are we looking at from the insurance company? What's the cost of like rebuilding it? $350? What is it?
I don't have a bid yet, but what I'm seeing around right now is above 500,000. Yeah. So I do have a 500,000 SBA loan already approved. That's lined up, which I don't know if they understand that. And then on top of that, it's that $170 or $250,000 of the insurance proceeds as well.
So the insurance is only going to cover you for 250?
That's all the coverage there was. Yeah.
So this is, I said, so ultimately that difference, I mean, at this point, have you signed up with any of the attorneys? Are you
Yes.
actually at this point doing, okay. So that, because look, if the real cost of, and again, they're gonna make adjustments, because obviously there's a difference between new construction and what you have is probably older construction. So
Right.
I don't know what the difference, the delta there. But whatever losses you have along the way, that will be part of what you should be entitled to collect, whatever math they're gonna come up with. But, that's what I said, there is no other way other than to cure the deficiency and then resume the regular payments. There's no other way.
Okay.
There's just no other way.
Can I get your take on this one? Because I've been asking a lot of questions and talking to a lot of people. So there is a Hawaii statute that was sent over to me, and I don't know if you read that in my email, but HRS 506-7, where they're in the state of Hawaii, it's up to the mortgagor to, I guess, at their discretion to utilize those funds or instruct on how those funds would be used.
Yeah, I have never actually dealt with that because this is a unique situation. I'm just looking at the language of that. Now, look, I mean, the reality of it is there's a difference between applying it in order to reduce the principal balance versus curing a default. If you talk to the insurance company, here is the proceeds, the full amount, and I'm going to pay you off completely, okay? You're done. I don't see that they would like to stand on to refuse that. I just don't see a universe in which they can say no.
Right.
Because essentially they're releasing at that point, they're releasing their mortgage, they're releasing their lien, they pay it off, and what mortgage? You made them whole at that point.
Yeah.
There's nothing more that you can ask for. But again, but I take it to the next level. So you just do not want to get into any kind of legal battle with that. It's just not worth it. Even if you have, my point is, even if you have a valid argument, are you really going to go through that? It's going to cost you a lot of money, and to get. Look, I can tell you, different attorneys have different approaches. Like my approach is that the best way to deal with a legal dispute is to avoid it. Really, it really is. A lot of attorneys kind of tell them, I want to do it. Great. Here's the retainer, let's do it. Without actually thinking, wait a minute, what am I trying to accomplish? Because I'm looking at what you're trying to accomplish.
Right.
Not to get paid to do legal work, what are you trying to accomplish? And what is the most effective way to get there? Now look, if you have no other properties, no other money, your property was upside down, and there's a way, then there might be a way to even economically to justify doing things. But it's just not the case for you. It's just not the case. You have other things you need to consider, and you just need to break ground, get this thing going, and ideally you want to keep this 4% loan that probably you're never going to see again.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You're just never going to see that interest rate. So that loan itself is very valuable.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
A loan is worth a lot of money in today's world.
I guess the issue that I'm having with, and if I had the money, I would cure the loan. I just don't have the money. I don't have the $95,000 to do it, and so I don't want it to go in foreclosure. And my second option is to use this insurance funds to cure that loan.
Yeah, correct. I understand that, but here's the thing. Because you have a bunch of other properties here that you sent me. How much equity in all the other properties that you own?
I mean, it's maybe 20% equity.
In all of those, meaning if I put all those numbers together, you mean roughly I will get looking about 20%?
20%.
Because, okay, let's say it's about 400 per month. 20, it's 520 plus 825. what is it, 1.35, another 7, it's about 2.1. It's about 2.5 million roughly, all of it. So you're saying if I took 20% of it, all of it, if I liquidated you, theoretically I will end up at about half a million?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, look, let's take it to the next step right now. Can you keep up with the regular payments right now?
Yes.
You can.
Yes.
There is a universe in which I'm going to be clear right now. I do not recommend that you do it. Okay? This is not a recommendation, but you need to know that it's an option. And I would say it would be your nuclear option if all else fails and if you really want to keep your loan. Okay? There is a universe in which it's not going to be easy, but I believe I can probably squeeze you into a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. And if you do that, you will cure the 100,000 over 5 years, and you have to resume the regular payments. In other words, you're probably looking at $4,000 plus another $2,000 a month or so. It probably is going to. That means you're looking at a monthly payment of about $6,000 combined between the $4,000 that you're paying for the mortgage plus the catch-up. And this is by the way, when I give you the catch-up payment is $2,000, but this is without me knowing anything else about if you have tax debt or whatever it is. That can really change. But in a perfect world, you have maybe other than maybe minimal credit card debt, the usual thing, but all your other affairs are pretty much in check, and you don't have a lot of tax debt. The way it works in bankruptcy is like what we have in this case. It's a must pay. So if I take 100,000, I put my fees and the trustees' fees on top of another 10%. It's roughly 120 divided by 60. That's the $2,000.
Okay.
If you have to pay more, that number goes up. So look, if you do that, it will solve the problem. But number one, you need to be able to afford it. Number two, it's a bankruptcy, which means you need to. I'm not saying bankruptcy is the end of the world. I'm not. But I would really make a huge effort to avoid it. But I'm here. This is your safety net. Okay. And everything else fails. Sure, you can do it. I seriously think that you should go out of your way to avoid it.
Okay. And that bankruptcy, from what I understand, stays on your credit for 7 years, right?
10. After you complete it.
Got it.
So I mean, theoretically, look, the nice thing about Chapter 13 is that if anything changes after a year or 2 years, whatever it is, you can always dismiss it. But if you go the distance, truly 5 years, okay, that means that it's going to be on your record during those 5 years, and then plus another 10 after you complete it. Now look, the bankruptcy itself, especially you and the business you're doing, trying to get credit, is not going to be ideal. Now it doesn't. It's not the end of the world, and I always tell people at the end of the day, people. I had clients in a Chapter 13 who bought a house and got a mortgage. At the end of it's possible. The point is this: what really matters is your ability to repay your income. Okay? If I look at your case and I know 2 years ago you filed bankruptcy and it shows a report, but today you have a business, you're making $1 million a year. Do you think I really care? I don't. I mean, you're in business. You understand these things. And loan officers, whatever it is, it's risk assessment. Take someone else, never filed bankruptcy, wants to get the same loan, and they're working at, I don't know, McDonald's, making $30,000 a year.
Yeah.
Is that better? So that's what it boils down to. Avoid it. I am here as your last option with regards to that. I do not recommend it, and not because look, that's what I do. Most of my work is Chapter 13. If you need to do it, I'm the person. I'm the best person who can handle it for.
I don't want to do it
But
either.
you should avoid it. I'm sorry?
Yeah, I don't want to. That's probably the last resort that I would
Correct.
resort to.
Correct. And then just to be clear, just about that, when it comes to Chapter 13, is like anyone who has an interest ownership and an equitable ownership and an interest in the property, no matter how small, can file this Chapter 13. So if you're not the sole owner, there's someone else, and you want to protect your credit, it can be done that way. So it doesn't have to be you. That's the last part. But so look, at this, what it's worth at least from this conversation you had with me, this meeting, at least you know that, okay, well, push comes to shove, at least that is out there. But ultimately, you need to figure this out. You just need to figure out, I don't know, maybe that means that you need to sell one of the other properties, liquidate it, use the funds. I'm not obviously I'm telling you stuff that I'm sure you thought of already. I'm telling you, I haven't thought of this stuff.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right. Well, appreciate it. Thank you so much for the reality check there, Ophir.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Do you have any other questions for me?
Nope, that's it. Thank you. Thanks for
Oh,
your
okay.
time.
Hey, I'm gonna say it, and I'm gonna say it in the nicest possible way. You know what it is? I hope I never hear from you again.
It's probably the last. All right, Ophir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye. Jeez. Look, there's a meeting recap.